do you feel as a FilAm performer? There's like a checklist of events that you're like, I've done that one. It's like, they asked me back. I've done this.
Like a bingo card?
Yeah, bingo card, exactly.
Yes.
And it's usually like the same ones. And you kind of figure out like, oh, these guys don't pay. These guys pay me in food. And these guys just don't care.
These ones I have to do a little if I want to get on the lineup. Yeah.
How?
Oh my god, no, that was a little too aggressive.
What do you have to do?
A little.
Oh, that's the ampalaya that he's holding.
You gotta give him some turon. You're like, hey, I got it.
Maybe they don't pay you because you don't look at it.
I keep my eyes focused on their eyes.
This rude boy.
He's ungrateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Panddez?
You're listening to the Pandesoul podcast.
Join us as we unpack the flavors of being Filipino
And American. We're your hosts, Dre Magix, the fictitious professor, and EJ Villaman.
And we hope you're hungry.
Because there's plenty to go around. What's up, Panddez? Welcome back to the Pandesoul podcast, the funniest podcast on the internet, also known as the Peach Mango podcast, Pen Pineapple Apple podcast, and the Gago and Pangit podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Dre Magix.
Oh, I'm EJ Villaman.
Change
This is
the
a-
order.
Fictitious
Whoa.
professor.
And we have a very special guest today.
Fictitious professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a guy. I think I may have blown out.
He
I'm
just
sorry.
recently got married, and even more recently than that, he got his MFA and did a TED Talk, and even more recently than that, graduate of Bishop Montgomery High School.
We have such similar lives. You did all this?
Yeah.
You did all that? I did
You
a lot
didn't
of
get.
that
I was
too.
going further and further back.
I like that. That's how I like
Benjamin
it.
Button.
Don't go away from it.
Push
Push
into
into it.
Throw it back, right?
Oy.
Yeah. Give it up for
Anal sex.
Eric Escobar, everybody.
Yes. Hello.
Yo.
I'm so happy to be here. We were just talking about how we're like a little.
Dude, okay, we look like fucking 4 of the 7 dwarfs.
Okay,
Fucking look
we each have to go around
Apan
and
dapat.
name another dwarf. We can't name ourselves. Who wants to go first?
What do you mean, like
So like
a fictional one?
yeah. So what's your, like your? I'm gonna name you. Oh, you're not sleepy. You're not. The other one. You're bogey.
Ooh.
Bogey the dwarf.
Dang.
Now you get to pick
I
someone.
always got
else
that
to
as a
name.
kid. Dang. I'm going to go with
We don't need to do this bit. That'd be a fun bit.
We
Snow
can do it
Brown
in
and the
post.
4 doors. We'll do it fun.
Go.
That's what I said.
This is Mabuti.
Oh,
Mabuti.
Mabuti the dwarf.
Mabuti.
The dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of
Is it your booty? No, it's my
Wow.
booty. It's my booty. There he
Wow,
is.
get your hand off my fucking shoulder.
it's not your shoulder, it's Mabuti.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, hey, that's the best friend test, or like Filipino best friend. You go, hoy, massage.
Yeah.
You ever do that shit?
No.
Like a family, you're like,
I didn't
"Hoy,
realize-
massage.
I didn't
Where's
realize
the-
I was
the
best
sniff
friends
kiss?
with the 7-year-old Asian woman who works on the corner of Main and 4th. I didn't.
Why are
know.
you getting massages on the street?
Yeah,
Go-
she's my best friend.
go to
Don't
a
talk about
parlor.
her. No, I don't go to. I barely even know her.
Ah, nice. You should just name all of us.
Oh, we got Pogi. We got Mabute. We got. Well, I got just one. You're
Steve
You-
Aoki.
Wait, are you an anteater?
Yeah. How could you tell?
You're wearing a UCI
Oh,
hat.
shoot.
Maybe instead of tita, you can be auntie.
Ooh.
So we got
Auntie.
Pogi, Mabuti, auntie.
Auntie.
I have I married
And
into
you're just-
a
you're just,
tita auntie, to a auntie,
You-
and I'm obsessed with it.
You're what?
I married in. My partner has an aunt named Auntie, so she's Tita Auntie, and I'm always like, "Oh, that's Auntie." And I laugh, and
Is it-
she doesn't. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like this.
She's like over it.
But I'm like, it's fine. It's two aunties.
Auntie squared?
Yeah, auntie dos.
Yeah. You just, dude, watched your special.
Oh, thank you.
Great
Oh,
special.
7 views. Look at that. He is one of them. He's
I'm
the lucky
2
one.
of them.
Yes.
Because
Auntie, auntie, mabuti. Oh, we got 2 booties.
No, dude, it was cool because like some of that material is like what I traveled with you when you were doing.
You are saying this in such a nice way. You want to say it. Some of that material hasn't
all-
changed in
so-
the 5 years that we've
No, but
done shows.
that's how comedy works, right? Like
Yeah.
you hold on to material until you put it out in special form, and then you write a new hour or whatever. Right?
More or less, you like work really hard, you bust it out, you work really hard, bust it out. What I thought was really interesting
It's like
is
my Saturday night.
So you're like, back it up. It's the only way I can bust out. I feel like this is very strong coffee. I feel like I'm very energized. I feel like it was weird preparing for it because like we've done shows together, and I'm very silly, and I like to have fun. And I didn't realize how like crowd worky I was getting during shows, and how much I would like play with people. And the few months leading up to it, there were shows where I was like, I need to work on my 45, I need to work on
material.
my hour. And then you go out there and you're like, oh, you're an Italian guy named Spaghetti. All right, screw the material. Let's get into this. Yeah. So it was real interesting doing it, because when you're kind of just doing material, because even in the beginning I did a little bit of crowd work stuff, it just felt weird. It was a very odd experience. Grateful for it, but a very odd experience indeed.
So what do you think? Are you gonna prep for another one? Is that the move? You can do the road for a bit.
I honestly feel like I'm very happy with what we put out. I'm grateful for how it turned out. The next one, I really want it to have a different tone.
Yeah.
I love jokes. I love setup punches, and I feel like it's such a fun, exciting part of comedy for me. But I want to do something different than straight joke for the next one. So I think I'll tell myself when I'm ready. You know what I mean? I gotta figure out that whole new brand of it.
You guys
Yeah, what's your process getting ready for this whole...
Crying.
Yeah.
Just ultimate tears. You mean for the special, or just like going up?
Yeah, I mean even just for like a stand up, like, or just going and performing, like, do you have like a certain process that you go through, and like a pre-workout?
I just take a bunch of pre-workout. Actually, I just get pumped for it. How
did you feel?
I feel like working out. The Young Bucks, who are a wrestling tag team, I read their book, and they said something along the lines of whenever they go out.
Was it 2 books or just the one?
It was just one book. One book. One book. The Young Buck, I read. And it was interesting because they came at it from a wrestling perspective. We want to always go out and have it be like this party atmosphere, like everyone's having a good time. And I really resonated with that. So for me, when it comes to the preparation of it, it's really like, how can I make everyone feel comfortable and feel like they're at a party, feel loose, feel excited, feel like it's more of a conversation. They can kind of, listen in and be like, oh, that's great. Maybe like just chill for a minute. So I very intentionally tried to craft a set that was that tone and that vibe. When it comes to just like pre-show jitters and stuff, I don't know. I feel like I could just like be in a corner for 5 minutes and breathe and then go out and do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you feel like you like being social before you go and like be creative, or do you need a minute to just like ground and then you can execute?
So before I do shows, it's funny because I've been doing a lot more ensemble shows, especially with other magicians.
Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, dinner, you get paid and you get dinner, and everyone's like not eating or not drinking or not, and they're like, aren't you gonna? And it's part of their process where they gotta stay sharp, right?
Interesting.
But in my ideas, like, I do comedy magic, so I need to be as relaxed as I can. I need to be as comfortable as I can, so I can catch the fucking thing and make a joke about it, right?
I hear that.
So I think my process is like, I'm gonna be as relaxed as possible. I'm gonna be on my phone. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me, because the set is done. The work is done. I just gotta go and do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like that. You too.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I feel that like similar, where it's like, if I'm thinking about it too much, then I know I'm just gonna feel bad playing on stage. So just staying loose, and then also not getting in my own head when I'm like soloing, playing key stuff.
wait, you're saying you're not supposed to feel like shit when you're performing? Because personally, for me, it's always just anger and tears on the inside.
Anxiety.
while I'm telling my jokes.
Yeah. Well, it's like, because it's like when I do my own shows, I'm not saying anything when I'm playing my songs.
That's true.
So it's like I can just have inner dialogue the whole time while I'm playing. So I don't want to like talk down on myself while I'm playing. So just kind of like notice, kind of prep. I also kind of hide too, where I'm like, let me go off to the side real quick before I go out on stage. But if I'm playing for like another artist, I'm just like, it's fine. I already know what to do. It's chill. I'd make sure that the artist is doing okay. Like, are you good? You need anything? You want to go hide? Want me to like protect you or whatever?
I have a music question. I feel for specifically comedy, there's a level of presentness that has to be there. And I think in any art form, there's a level of presentness that needs to be there when you're performing and displaying what you do. Sometimes, do you ever like go and drive somewhere and you like get in your car, you turn it on, you start driving, and the next thing you know, like you're there?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, wait, did I just like...
Bro, that happens to me. Redondo Beach all the time.
Yeah.
It's that cliff drive.
The what? The woo?
Yeah.
The dog park and the turd and Cheesecake Factory.
And then you're on Western.
It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
With music, do you feel... I feel like there is such a... not a temptation, but I feel like it would be easier to kind of fall into that almost like
just
meditative, like you're just like in that world and you like wake up out of it state while you're performing.
Yeah.
You say that's true, or like no, you have to be in it and know what you're doing the whole time?
Yeah, it depends on what genre. So like when I was doing classical
So for
piano,
death metal,
for
can
death-
you zone out and just not? Yes.
I feel like if you zone out, it helps just to like perform, really tap into it.
Word.
When I was doing classical, it's like, just me by myself on the piano, nothing else. I can't hide behind anything. So there are times I just go in autopilot, and when I went into autopilot, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in autopilot, and then I would come back and then I would make a mistake. So then it's like trying to figure out how to be extra present in that sense. But then if I'm playing in an ensemble, there's some level of like getting into the zone, and then there's also an element of switching to active listening. So listening to what whoever is like featured at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I would assume there's like, and I don't mean this is like a bad thing, but there's a little less like play with classical because you're doing the thing. You remember the thing you're doing. It's not like let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So when you go from that autopilot to not, you can't be like, oh well, let me just riff this and then jump back into it. It's like, oh no, this has to be.
Yeah. Classical is like theater versus like jazz is like improv.
Oh, nice. Good for you, improv. You got jazz. All right, that's a win in your cap. That's great. Yeah.
Well, it's like, there's artistry in both, but it's like, everyone knows like the words to Rent or like Fiddler on the Roof or whatever.
For sure.
So they're expecting to see it exactly performed that way versus like with jazz and improv. It's like you kind of know the concepts, or even like stand up. It's like, you go watch Rex, like his hits, but then you also kind of want to see him do some new stuff. Yeah. But then, it's kind of similar in that way.
I'm so jealous of musicians because you write a hit and you're like, hey, what do you guys want to hear? And everyone's like, the
same one, right? Yeah. Dude, my shit is like you see it once and you're kind of done with it.
Right. Show me your duck.
Yeah. And I'm like,
show me your duck.
Yeah. Like comedy, the big part of magic is the surprise, right?
Yeah.
It's the left turn. It's the that's what makes it funny because it's unexpected.
They don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you just gotta find different audience. I mean, unless they're your friends.
Yeah.
Like my friends are always like, oh, because like these guys know my. I mean, you probably know my line. I know your bits.
I know a good. I would say if you
whatever I did on that tour.
If you were to do a 40-minute set, I feel like I'd be like, oh yeah, at least 30.
Yeah,
you know
30%
like,
of it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We also spent 2 weeks together, fucking driving up the coast, doing shows. So like. Good times.
It was beautiful. It was great. We at one point, I wouldn't say you slept in a
entertainment center.
In a pull-out entertainment center.
What?
What?
It was
Wait,
wild.
how does that work?
Follow your dreams, kids,
There you
and
go.
one day
Yeah.
you too can sleep in an entertainment center.
So it was just like his TV, but then it pulled out and there was a bed there. And I'm like, oh, I guess this is me tonight.
That was John Rice.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Rice.
Nice.
That was Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, that was Seattle. I love Seattle. Have you guys been to Seattle? Are you
Yeah.
Seattle people? I like
Yeah.
Seattle a lot.
Shuttle.
Our
Seattle.
Seattles are very different.
Dude, Shuttlecocks.
Dang, you
the
play
best.
badminton?
Yeah.
Oh no, my mid-10 is good.
Oh, it better be.
But like,
It
I mean, we used to work
okay at
a
best.
lot together, bro. And like, I don't know if this is weird and like, you're like one of the dudes I keep an eye on from like afar. Just like, oh, dope, Eric's doing good. And I feel like there are a few people in the community I do that with that I can truly like genuinely root for. Some of them I don't care, where I'm like, whatever the fuck he's doing.
I don't talk about them, right?
Yeah,
They're right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
They're right
We
here.
hear it all the time.
Yeah, I tell them to their face. I'm like, you know what? If you weren't right next to me, I don't know.
Yeah.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
and I would feel likewise because I think when you when you just kind of get caught up in it and you're just chasing the work and you're hustling and it's so crazy, like it sucks. You just that is happening and it's hard to like keep up with friendships and grab lunch with someone and get coffee. But like there's always that like, oh, you're working on that? Oh, you did that show?
Like
hell yeah. All right, I'll see you in 6 months. So it's cool to I feel like social media has caused a lot of not great stuff, but it's really cool to be able to keep in contact with a lot of friends and be like, we haven't seen each other in a minute, but I know your kid went to kindergarten. I know you did this for your birthday. You celebrated it. It's cool that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever meet people, and you guys, do you ever meet people that are, what's the word? Ignorant to, this is the world we live in. Like, so if I haven't seen you in like 4 months, I'm like, I clearly know you got married.
Yeah.
And so I go, hey man, how's married life? And you're like, huh? You ever meet people fucking like that?
You forget that they post about stuff on social
That's
media.
the only thing you post about? Of course I know you're like, you have a kid or whatever.
Yeah. No, I only see like 5 people. So no, that never really happens.
God,
you're the two other people.
Sometimes I feel like I do that, but I'm really behind. So I'll be like, oh, that's so cool. I saw you just got engaged. Congratulations. And they're like, we had a wedding and she's like pregnant. And you're like, oh, I remember a thing happened. I just didn't realize it was that ahead. You know what I mean? Or like
you just gotta look at their Instagram right before you get lunch with them.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you fucking posted right here?
It's the random interactions though that you see at like just a random basketball game and someone that comes up and you're just like, oh shoot, hey, how's it been?
Yeah.
And then like
just the active like loading screen as you see them. It's like yeah, I feel that too.
And you're like Jumanji. Oh, you're an actor.
That fucking reminds me. I was at a pop-up for a Sip Sip.
Yeah.
And this guy comes up because it was in Carson, and I think I remember where he's from, but I'm not like 100% sure. Yeah. But he was like, EJ posts your podcast all the time. It's so funny. I'm like, thanks, bro. But like in my head, I'm like, I probably went to school with this dude because we're in Carson, and like he probably just knows EJ from somewhere else.
I feel like there's this weird game comedians play with one another because we're all in like one big circle and we like interact with each other all the time. But sometimes like, oh, I haven't seen you for like 3 years, but we're on a show together. It's good to see you. Where there's kind of like this game of chicken of it's like we're both going to pretend that we don't know each other because we don't want to assume that you forgot who I am and now I'm putting you in the weird position of reintroducing myself. And you're going to be like, oh, we already met. So everyone's kind of like, hey, buddy. Like, no, even if you've met, you're like not knowing you.
It's like non-committal greetings.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what's up? Good to see you.
I think where I'm at now, I'm just like, fuck it, man. I'm going to know who you are. And, you know, because I think for Magic, at least, you have a really good shot of knowing people without them knowing you. Or like people even forgetting. So I'm just like, hey, David, what's up? Big fan, or like whatever it is. You know what I mean? And he probably doesn't remember we met. I'm just like, hey man, how you been? We met, and I'm telling, like, I'm just so I don't get embarrassed. I tell them exactly where I know him from. I'm like, hey man, we met at the castle that one day. We had a conversation. Just want to see how you were doing. That's it.
I need to start doing that.
I would I know you from the mic with people who I don't know. You know what I mean? And just like see how far they take. It's like, oh, what's up, Jim? Remember we met at the castle?
Shout out.
Oh yeah, we were with Jill. Yeah, Jill. Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. And just see how much they'll be like. Yeah.
Shout out to our last episode on gaslighting.
Ah, yes.
It's a great sponsor. It's really wonderful. No, it's
Sponsored
not.
by
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Sponsored by Gaslight. We'll light yours if you light ours.
Gaslight.
Do you have a jingle already? Gaslight. Boom.
That's it.
FilAm History Month's coming up.
Happy October. Happy almost October.
You still booking a bunch of shit that month?
I have a show in Anaheim, California.
Oh, shoot.
Beer Co. It's pretty fun. We did a Filipino night last year. This year, we will probably also do another one. I should get on that. We have a month. We have a month and a half. Marketing doesn't need to be a thing.
Depending on when we release this, you have a week.
Hey guys, tomorrow, Radiant Beer Co. Come on down. You'll see me and them. That's all I could find.
We're on it. Yeah.
Dude, books.
I'll be in the audience.
Gigs.
No, you'll be on stage with us.
On stage, pretending to be an audience member.
I feel like it's so weird for comics during Filipino American. I feel like it's weird for FilAm comics during Filipino American SRS because there's like 10 of us. So it's like, oh, you're doing that one. Oh, I'm doing this one. Are we gonna do one together? Oh, we're both on this one. Oh, we're on the next 3. I know we're on the next 2. Oh, you're doing Palm Springs. Well, I got. It's funny to see the crossover. Like we're all just buddies for a month, super hard, and it's like I'll see you next year. I'll see you next year.
Dang,
Have a good one.
That's kind of cool.
That's funny.
Everyone thrives at the same time.
There are some artists that I do those shows with, and I only see at those shows. Shout out to Gingy. What's up? She's great.
She's cool.
But I only see her at like gigs we're both mutually booked at.
She does really crazy music stuff because I remember like the first time I saw her, I thought it was just gonna be like the Filipino instruments. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like cute. Then she like backtracks it with like, and you're like, whoa! I'm proud of my culture more. This is great. It's wonderful.
Favorite Filipino event that you perform at?
Oh, of all time, like that I've ever done
regularly.
Just give me like a memorable one where you're like, oh shit, this was dope.
You know what? The fests are always fun. The fests are always cool.
But like, are they?
They feel. I feel like I'm at like a family party at like a Filipino like food fest or one of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see all the titas in the back, and you're like eating barbecue, and you're like, this is fine. I'm good. Oh God. So one of the big comics to get me into stand-up was Rex Navarrete. So I feel like anytime I'm working with him, it's a real pleasure. It's a real honor. It's always a Filipino thing, even if it's not during Filipino American History Month. I'm like, oh, this is June is now Filipino American History Month at Brea Improv Comedy Club.
Right.
You know what? I give a shout out to Filipino AF and Asian AF.
Yeah.
They run great programming. It's different. It's cool. I feel like a lot of times I do so many straight like just stand up shows. To do a variety show, it's a fun mixing up of the vibe. So anytime I do one of those, that's really fun. I like it. They do good work. They do great work.
Nice.
Do you feel as a FilAm performer, there's like a checklist of events that you're like, I've done that one. It's like, they asked me back. I've done this.
Like a bingo card?
Yeah, bingo card, exactly.
Yes.
And it's usually like the same ones. And you kind of figure out like, oh, these guys don't pay. These guys pay me in food. And these guys just don't care.
These ones I have to do a little if I want to get on the lineup. Yeah.
How?
Oh my God, no, that was a little too aggressive.
What do you have to do?
A little.
Oh, that's the ampalaya that he's holding.
You gotta give him some turon. You're like, hey, I got it.
Maybe they don't pay you because you don't look at it.
I keep my eyes focused on their eyes.
This rude boy.
Yeah. He's ungrateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. How much of your newer stuff is going to involve your culture?
I always talk about Filipino Mexican stuff. I feel like it's always going to be in the act some way or another. What I think is really interesting is I grew up with this perspective of being half, and because you're half, right? Are you half? You're full.
I'm full.
You're full. Man, you're super
What's up?
full. He's like the most like, you're like the
What's up?
Filipino master. You're the Lolo of like this group.
Manapo.
Excuse me?
It's a good thing.
I am
It's a
half
good thing.
Filipino and half is other Filipino.
I'm half Filipino, half Ilocano.
Yeah.
Wait, what? That's the same. But I feel like when you're half, you kind of get, you sort of get a half experience sometimes. Like I definitely grew up around my mom's side a lot, the Filipino side a lot, but it wasn't like full-fledged. I got married and I see how my wife, who's Filipino, and how her family interacts, and I'm like, whoa, this is really
Super
cool.
different.
It's like double. It's more Filipino than my
Double?
family.
Yeah.
Double Filipino. It is technically double because two Filipino parents. So it's really interesting to gain the new like Filipino perspective and point of view from being in that family now and seeing that culture. And I love it because
So you had the trial version and now you got the full version.
There are so many things where I'm like, oh, this is
Dang.
just a thing my mom does or my tita does. I'm like, oh, other titas do that, or oh, they interact this way.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to
So
see
what
that, and that's making
are
its way
some of
in
the
act.
things?
Ooh, she has a big family, and I always thought Kuya and Ate were just your big brother and your big sister, but I guess it's
Everyone.
it's
Cultural thing, yeah.
everyone. Like if you got an older cousin who's like the oldest lady, she's Ate.
Yeah.
And when my wife started doing that, I'm like, she's not your, that's your cousin. But I thought that was a really interesting thing that I never was exposed to.
Also, you do kuya and ate with strangers.
Do you really?
Yeah, especially if like, you're trying to if they like are the cashier.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, how much kuya, or like how much.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Can I get a lap dance
I
out
see.
there? You know?
My family also never monopod. It was just a thing that kind of got like, I don't want to say lost, but just it was a thing I
Overlooked,
saw here and
overlooked.
there, but it wasn't like like
Emphasize.
they
Yeah.
were never like, Eric, you have to bless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're in that same boat.
But her family, they everyone blesses, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like, it's cool that that's a thing. So fun stuff, real good fun stuff from the old country from back home.
The
I
old
love it.
country.
So you just can't wait to go and bless people. You're like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Hello, kuya. Oh my God. Oh my. Am I one of us? Am I? Hello. This is so fun. I'm going to have some pancit. Love me.
My wife's Filipino.
Yeah, you can use that.
That's great. Yeah, you can use that. You know the white guy who's always like, I married a Filipino.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like the
yeah.
black friend thing. Like, oh, I got a black friend. I know a lot
It's,
about it.
I mean, it's similar. It's like, oh yeah, my wife's Filipino.
Yeah, it's the go-to.
I feel though like so many people.
Just on the record, I do have a black friend. His name is Derek Brown. He's very
Okay.
I've met him. He's not an imagination.
Fun fact: Derek Brown, full Ilocano. Actually, very dark, very
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
I
Why
always
husband?
something that's like not a pet peeve, but I'm always like, okay, is I feel like whenever I go on the road and I do shows like in the Midwest or places that just are traditionally like more like white areas,
Yeah.
I'll like talk about being half Filipino, and usually some white guy who's mostly in his like 40s, 50s, he'll always come up to me like, oh yeah, I got a buddy who's a Filipino. You have that lumpia? And like that's it. Like it's not like, oh, I know something about it. It's always like, oh, have you ever had lumpia or balut? There was
Yeah.
a lumpia. It's always one of those two. And I'm like, man, don't boil down our culture to those two
That's the
things.
extent.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's the
If
extent.
you were
of
like, if
their-
it's sisig, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But don't
Oh,
give
you-
us just
yeah.
balut.
Just know a spot.
See, he's like, oh, he's an actual Filipino.
You're
friend.
one of the good
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. Then he monoposed me. And I'm like, oh, sorry. USA.
Oh, you had lumpia. I've had
Where is this going?
casseroles.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had mayonnaise.
I've had deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs.
Potatoes.
I don't like a flavor. Yes, I am a big fan of the flavorless sandwich.
What
No.
about a bread sandwich?
It's a bread Wellington.
bread.
Yeah. A bread Wellington.
Yeah. Because all you make is bread.
Yo. So okay, I've been meaning to bring this up on the pod. I just keep forgetting every time we shoot.
Yes.
There's a creator family on TikTok. Okay, let me just paint the picture, and like I want to see what you think about it because I have mixed feelings. There is a Filipino. There's a content creator family on TikTok. It's like mother, father, and like 3 or 4 kids.
Okay.
So which one is it? 3 or 4?
It's a big difference.
Depending on the day.
Yeah,
Depending on the mood.
depending on if the stepson is available.
What are you doing, stepson?
So they're all white.
Okay.
Okay.
They do covers of Tagalog songs.
Okay.
They almost exclusively do only Tagalog song covers.
Okay.
What like were
I've seen this.
the parents like raised there? Are they like, culturally?
I was
like,
trying to look up stuff. Apparently their dad lived in the Philippines for a while and then moved back to the States, married the mom, they had kids, but he just like loved the culture.
Mm-hmm.
His dad is probably more fluent in Tagalog than any of us are.
Yeah.
Sure.
The dad is. The kids, like they're taking classes to learn Tagalog
Yeah.
and they just like fucking do covers of Tagalog songs.
Okay.
That's it. I don't know how to.
I got a take on that.
Okay, go
gotta
ahead.
take on that.
Yeah, let's go down the line.
You're next. On deck, in the hole.
Ooh.
Ew.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like
Is that how they like call you for your circumcision?
On deck.
in
On
the
deck,
hole.
in the hole.
Oh my
Deck in hand.
In the poet.
god. Ew.
Everyone get in the river.
That's what I call it, my poet. It's so wet. It's so
Ooh.
wet. I feel like if someone wants to if someone has a personal experience with my culture and wants to celebrate it, I think that's pretty cool. Like there's something that we did, my culture did something, my people did something, and it was so cool. You fell in love with it and you're inspired by it and you want to do it. I think that's fine. That's cool. Here's the thing that I feel is a little frustrating. I feel like sometimes, generally in the Filipino American community, there will be white creators or creators who are not Filipino who will do Filipino things, And a lot of people are like, whoa, that's really cool. It's a white guy doing a Tagalog song. It's a white guy doing a Filipino thing. It's a white family doing this. And sometimes the celebration of these non-Filipino creators using Filipino things, it's more celebrated than Filipinos doing Filipino things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that, not an issue. You like our stuff and you want to do it? That's cool. I'm glad we did something that made your life better, and now you want to tell your kids to learn Tagalog, and that's cool. The thing that would be like annoying to me is if the FilAm population at large, or the Filipino population, is like, these guys are cool, but that Filipino comedian over there, or that Filipino poet,
that went straight to you. Yeah. That Filipino Erik Escobar.
I feel like I can't say it because I'm half, so I'm like, oh, I'm like kind of.
You can
like,
say it.
I can say it. It's interesting to see when that happens. I don't think it's a conscious thing. I don't think it's necessarily something that's like. It's interesting to have a conversation about that. How sometimes they are more praised than celebrating my brothers and sisters within my, blood.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's interesting.
When I was researching, and then we'll keep going. When I was researching it, one more thing, they wrote an original in Tagalog. So I'm like, I guess plus points, but the idea. Oh, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Oh. I think it's kind of like, I feel similar to what you said. I'm also like not the target demographic, so I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, you can do your own content, whatever. I think if it's like a way of bringing focus to themselves as opposed to like, oh, here's like the original writers of the song, or like we really like this song, or like sharing the more like source, or like revealing source materials or like inspiration, I think then it becomes a little bit more problematic. But it's like, having gone through music school and like learning like people who sing opera, it's like singing songs in the actual like German or French or Italian. So it's like you learn that song in that language and you learn how to sing it well. And so it's kind of like similar, where it's like you don't necessarily need to translate these songs into like English, like talking about like opera specifically. So then if it's like you really like Tagalog songs, you want to sing Tagalog songs, make that your platform, cool, it's up to you. But I think if you're like, if it becomes more of the praise of this like non-Filipino singing Filipino songs rather than like Filipino creators, then it's like, okay, it's a little like iffy.
I'm gonna throw a curveball before you answer.
Sure, go ahead.
What if
it's
they
like,
were...
and this family is actually Ilocano.
That's
the curveball.
Those
It's actually a
aren't
Filipino
Philippines.
family.
Just keep adding more stuff.
They're actually Cambodian.
Well, like the more information I get, right, is like, yes, I agree with both of that stuff. What if monetizing gets into the mix?
Make that money. Make the money.
Based on another culture.
Personally, it goes back to my original point where it's like, make that money, do that thing, but why is the group giving more money to this rather than...
I see.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's fine, you're making money off it, just why is our money going there instead of other artists who kind of, are in the...
Diaspora.
Yeah. DJ.
So I'm like in the same boat as both of you. And it's a pretty steady boat.
Outrigger.
Yeah. But
It's a ship.
the thing is, I've seen these videos before, and like whenever I see something like this, I tend to look at it and kind of get annoyed by it and want to swipe it off of my page so I don't see it as much, because it's cool that it's happening and it's kind of being shared-ish, but you're right. Like, I don't want it to be the attention toward them. It would be really cool if the attention was exposed by them and shown everywhere else. Like, it would be so much cooler that way. But at the same time, I don't really know too much of the history of this family. Like Dre said, they could be more Filipino than us, because I'm here. I've been here. I'm FilAm, like OC my whole life, and like who's to say I can't say, oh, they're not Filipino because they just are skin different, right? So like there is that line, and like it'd be cool if they did give back or give praise to the originals, or just, you know, kind of did something to say like we really like Filipino culture, or just something along those lines, as opposed to just like I'm gonna make my money off of singing Filipino songs. Like if I started singing in a whole different language, like am I like, I don't want to profit off of singing German. Oh, it's kind of interesting.
Despacito.
Something that I think is interesting about this conversation is, especially coming from four FilAm men and people who have the culture in us, is let's just say a bunch of people who were not Japanese like covered Japanese songs.
Yeah.
A bunch of people who were white covered Spanish songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like there'd be a little bit of a, is this? But with the Filipino stuff, it's kind of like, but we're still getting a little bit of the piece of the pie, even though that piece of the pie is like this. Okay, that's a little more. It's not as, and I think it's interesting when you look at different cultures and how would a different culture react to that. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know of the all Japanese mariachi band that they go and perform at mariachi festivals. And they do it to the T, like full charo suits, like guitarons, like whole nine. Like they look like mariachis, and they sound like super. Like their Spanish is great, and they're like celebrated by these other mariachis where it's like, oh, look at these people who are also like so bought into our culture, and like, you know, it's like a celebration of additional like cultural exchange. And so it's kind of interesting.
Dre was saying too, kind of like along that point, is, you know, this guy spent time in the Philippines, and I don't feel like you can ever bash someone for their personal experience. You know what I mean? Right. If that's what you are, that's who you are. Cool, you live it, yay! But it's interesting sometimes when you're like, oh well, you know, this sushi stuff is Mexican, and it's like, yeah, but what if you like grew up in Japan? You know what I mean? Like it's hard to like off someone's personal experience. Like I don't know. I just don't know.
Right. Yeah. Authenticity is only authentic to an individual.
Right.
Yeah. So you do you.
I think for me, because number one, we don't really know what they're about. Like I'm sure we like the song, so we're covering it. Just that, but it gets weird for me if they're profiting off of our culture. Well, our culture, like the Filipino culture, right? And in fairness, I get where Eric's going, where it's like, and it's the fucking question we've talked about for 50 some episodes, right? Why does our people overvalue the connection of foreigners to our culture? Right. Rather than our own people and our culture.
Because we're super nice and hospitable. Because we're all welcoming, but also to a fault sometimes.
No, but I mean, that was
survival tactic.
From a survival tactic, right?
Yeah. So, like, they're taking over. Be nice to the Americans. Be nice to the.
And then develops into crab mentality, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm gonna book a white comedian who does his act in some bits in Tagalog and knows the culture, rather than just like, a FilAm that doesn't necessarily have to talk about being Filipino.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's fucked up. That means like, oh, we can't exist in your world type thing. Like, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
How much of their act do you think is kind of like a novelty act? Like, how much of it is, wow, they're really good? Or how much of it is like, oh, they're good, but it's the hook that's bringing people in?
I think it's like that.
It's interesting that you bring that.
I haven't heard them.
I can play it. We can edit it out.
Okay,
it's interesting that you bring that up because there's also a discourse within like Mandarin TikTok or Mandarin social media where there's these like non-East Asian folks speaking Mandarin, and then like Mandarin folks like, oh wow, and then there's this Chinese American guy who's like, it seems like the uncles and aunties who are sharing these like white people speaking Mandarin, they're saying wow in the same way that when he was a kid and he would speak Mandarin, like it's like, oh, look at this. It's like an endearing.
Look at this novelty right here.
Yeah, it's like novelty. So it's like not speaking Mandarin in like as a native, but just like as somebody who's kind of trying. So it's kind of like not necessarily like pity applause, but it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like with like Filipinos though, or FilAms, like maybe it's just me, but we just don't feel as seen as like the other cultures are. Like other cultures are super mainstream, and what the Filipinos have are just the stereotypical dance, nurse, good food, good people, and boxing. Like,
Oh yeah,
like
can sing well.
yeah, can sing well. But like other than that, like I feel like you could go anywhere and find a Chinese food place or a Japanese food place, and it's not just Chinese or Japanese food people in that, it's also white people, and like we don't have that, and I feel like all that is kind of layered, and like the scene feels a little like
we
off
want
to me.
want a piece of the pie. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of representation on places, and I hear you. It's
I'm gonna play a piece of this video, and you can just edit it out.
Okay.
All right, we just watched a piece of the video. I will say when I did my deep dive on this through their TikToks, I found their intent really endearing. Where it's like, they're not bastardizing the culture at all, I guess. Like they're doing their due diligence to learn the pronunciation at least. But I don't know. What do you guys think about the video itself? Because this is my first time watching this video, actually.
I felt feelings in the first few seconds of seeing it, or it just felt like cool, good for them, but also this doesn't feel right. I guess you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest. That video isn't just like white people singing Tagalog. It's like a very Caucasian family. It's a very Utah-y family, and just like, whoa, this is cool, but this just doesn't click for me. It makes me feel a little bit like, oh, I don't know if that's. Can't put my words together, but it kind of gave me a weird visceral reaction.
Yeah, it's feeling like more appropriation than appreciation. Felt a little like.
I also just might be racist. I also just could be heavily
biased.
I'm not. Don't edit. Don't you?
And cut. No.
Yeah.
Actually, I took a racial bias test one time, and I have a bias against white people. Like I have a strong distrust against white people.
We should do that as a video soon.
It's like,
A racial bias test.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'll look for one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
try to
fun.
find the one that I took. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is not news to me, but it's nice to have in writing.
But imagine how many fucking older Filipinos will have a racial bias against Filipinos.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's rough.
I think with them, they were like, you know how they came here and the Philippines are trying to assimilate with everyone. Now they see this and they're like, oh shoot, they're trying to assimilate with us.
Payback.
But it's I
Twisting
feel like
tiger.
when a lot of Filams and Filipinos were trying to assimilate into American culture, it was kind of necessity. This feels a little bit like, oh, y'all don't need to do this. Oh, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
That's like for our generation,
They
but
could-
for like our parents' generation, maybe they're just like, oh, like I really like how, like now they feel seen.
Yeah.
Well, they speak better Tagalog than you, huh?
Yeah, they look
Oh,
at,
yeah.
yeah.
I bet she's a nurse. I get it, Mom. I just really wanted to major in English. I feel like it was a
She
good
has
call.
kids. Must be nice.
They must be nice to have a grandchild.
yeah.
They know how to work the YouTube. They know how to edit. You are not director yet.
They're still on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, and not saying like we're right or wrong. It's just how we're feeling about like the visceral reaction doesn't sit right. Like when you eat a weird meal, and
Yeah.
you're just like, ugh. Right?
Well, it's something we are familiar with. We're familiar with something,
yeah, and it goes
and
against.
it breaks the comfort, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
I will
Why?
give them the pass though. Do a mukbang when you eat just with your hands. If your technique is proper, down.
Yeah.
First step one.
Put your leg up.
Yeah.
Fucking give me the Filipino napkin.
Yes.
If you do all those moves, I'm like,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Make
Good.
all the money you want.
Yeah, pass the test. Good
Yeah.
job.
Just give me some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on our podcast.
Yeah, come on a podcast and talk about it. Fit in this room.
We'll admit that we were wrong. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, so before we end this episode, we do a real quick segment. What is like
We
one...
can make it long. We can do like an extra long. We can do like a medium sized segment. No, it needs to be quick.
I haven't seen one
listen,
of those in a while.
Quick plus.
Listen,
Medium minus.
long is subjective.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
So we're gonna give one
Slowly realizing that.
we're gonna have one real quick recommendation for something Filipino or Filipino American that they should check out. You're gonna go last, so you have more time.
I love it.
Whether it's like a food spot, music, like a song,
Content creator.
content creator. My pick is definitely going to be, go on YouTube, look up Erik Escobar Mexipino Noir.
Oh, shucks.
The comedy special.
Oh, shucks. For a $30 Venmo, he'll say the same thing about you on this podcast.
What?
So please support.
And
He
then
also
look
takes
out.
Zelle.
Yeah, for sure. And then look out for our reaction video to that special we're going to be doing.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
So Mexipino Noir, Erik Escobar, and all his socials at Erik Escobar.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
BRIKESCOBAR.
And if you didn't like the special, my socials are the
Dre
Dre
Magics. And I hit the magician.
Nice.
I know bits. All right, go DJ.
Oh, it's me this time. If you haven't had a chance, try Jollibee. No.
Yeah, try Jollibee. It's underrated
Yeah.
It really
by
is.
everybody outside the
Ask
Filipino
them for
diaspora.
the secret menu, the peach mango thighs.
Two piece, two thighs.
I have a friend that's like DJing now,
Dang.
and he's pretty fun and pretty cool. He DJs on the music, or he uses the music he used to download from LimeWire.
Oh, word.
That's tight.
Yeah, check him out. He's Parmesan.
Ah,
P-A-R-M-E.
good cheesy
Is
name.
that the guy?
S-E-A-N.
Hold on. Is that the guy that don't drop your tantanan?
That's him. Yeah,
That's great.
That guy's so good.
he's
Nice.
great. Support him.
I gotta find the video. I'll
Don't
show you.
Drop
Do
that.
your thing first.
He was great.
Don't drop that. I'm going to plug. This is for all you D&D fans out there. The Islands of Sina Una. It is a setting of Dungeons and Dragons based off of pre-colonial Filipino folklore. Some new classes, new races, and it's all based off of just like Filipino island dynamics, and it's a whole like brand new world setting. I think Hit Point Press is where you can buy it. It's like pretty set of Canada. I think you can still buy a PDF version and physical copy.
Damn.
Super cool.
Good for You by Olivia Rodrigo. No, let's do a real one. Let's do a real one.
Yeah.
You know what? Since you're our guest,
Yeah.
can you give us a content account,
Okay.
a food spot, a music thing,
Okay.
and
Food.
a miscellaneous thing?
Cool. All right, cool. Content. I would give a shout out to For All Things FilAm. They're a wonderful clothing and apparel shop on the Instagram and all social media accounts. They have one shirt where it's a finger pointing down and it says, "Would you like some lumpia?" And if you wear it and you're a boy, the lumpia is your backpack. And then they have another. It's not backpack. It's your other. It's your. It's the opposite of a backpack. Oh, your bird.
Your bird.
Someone. There's actually okay. 2 content shout outs for All Things FilAm
Backpack
and
and bird.
I am half Mexican, half Filipino. The special is Mexipino Noir, but there's a Mexipino podcast called the Mexipino Podcast. And
Tag them so they can be on our podcast.
they're great. They're wonderful. They're amazing people.
Have you been on their podcast?
Yeah,
I
you're
have.
on.
And we talked about how the lady privates are the peck, and the man privates are the bird.
Yeah.
And what do birds do? They peck.
Yeah.
So they're like related. For food, I would say
For food, you'd say the bird and the peck.
bird. It's the bird. It's the balut. It comes together. You know what? If you're ever in the Phoenix area, there is. I think it's Phoenix. There's a restaurant called Backstreet Asia. There's not a lot of Filipino cuisine in the. Have you been to Backstreet Asia?
I've seen it on.
All right.
No, I have not.
Oh, you're thinking of adult video content.
I have
That's
not
8th
seen
Street Latinas. That's actually that's 8th. That's Bang Breasts.
That's Track
Bang Breasts.
Patrol.
That's try. I know Track Patrol. Hell yeah! I
right.
feel like they're taking advantage of some of these women, so I try not to watch
Me
it. But when
neither.
I used to, oh man, it was not bad.
Hold on.
Let's.
Also, don't point at us when you said Track Patrol.
There's
He
3
said,
of us.
It's this guy. Like, we taught
Dre,
it to you.
if you would like to make $1,000 to $5,000 a day, please sit on this leather couch. My
1
name
to
is Rick,
5,000?
and come to the back room.
gonna be one.
Backstreet Asia. Now it's leading into a horrible pop form. Backstreet, they were just a really wonderful, welcoming place. I did comedy there a few months ago, and they had wonderful lechon kawali on the menu, and it's hard to find lechon kawali just in places like Arizona. So it was
Right.
pretty cool. Food, content, music. I always feel like I say it wrong. Is it Gingy or
Gingy.
Gingy.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
I've been following forever. We talked about it earlier, so double shout out to her. And miscellaneous.
Yes.
Miscellaneous. If you've never tried kare kare, or if you are at a place and kare kare is on the menu or at a point, get it. It's my favorite Filipino food. I feel like people sleep on it. They're like, oh, adobo, it's so good. I'm like, well, adobo's okay. Kare kare is the best. I like it, but hot take, I do not like is it bagaong or the aluman? Yeah, not a fan. Are you guys pro or against the shrimp paste?
I'll take a little.
I'm amateur.
I'll take a little bit.
Little bit?
Pro.
I will not take it.
0?
I'm pro, but you like it's
Spoonfuls.
like you got to monitor it. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Like one spoonful goes a long way.
Too much technology.
If they cook it where it's already a little bit's already in the sauce, I think it had time to like simmer and break down. So I don't mind it too much. I'm not gonna add extra.
Yep.
It's too. I'm only half.
Too
I
salty.
get the full jeans.
So just kare.
I'm just got it.
Single kare.
Yeah, Steph got it. My favorite.
Nice. Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the pandesoul podcast. Please go on all the social media, internet things. Click all the buttons: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the other things. And make sure you check out Mexipino Noir on YouTube. Let's go and get those views up to like
10.
double digits.
10
would
at
be
least.
nice.
11 by tonight, guys.
Right.
11.
Dang.
We can do it.
I'm not gonna watch it again.
Oh, okay.
I will.
Because it's at 7.
Yeah.
8,
8, 9.
I guess I can play it while I'm sleeping. 10.
If the video says Backstreet Asia on it, close. All right, you will get
Close.
disease. You
It's
do
an
not
AI
want-
thing.
It's an AI thing, yeah. So it's a different Mexipino Noir.
Yeah, make sure you support Eric at Erik Escobar on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, yes.
I have like 2 TikToks out, but yeah, I'm on it. So
Okay,
I got
support
it.
him.
I got it.
Yeah,
We
just
can
follow
make it 3.
it.
I got it.
Share with your friends, share with your enemies, and all the people that you are just okay with. Until next time, that's the Pandesoul Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm the Dre Magics.
EJ Villaman.
Fictitious professor.
And our
Yes.
special guest, Erik Escobar. I think we should do one of these.
Aw.
Go
You're
for
so
it.
sweet.
Bugs.
What a sweet podcast.
Woo. And as always,
Don't forget your baon.
peace.
O sige na, Pandis.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Pandesoul.
And check out previous episodes on Spotify and YouTube.
Thanks for laughing, and join us next week because there's enough Pandesoul to go around.
And don't forget your baon!